important job as the co-anchor of 2020. But she's always down to have a good time with us here at Sherri. So we tested her limits this past Halloween when she walked out and saw a surprising masked figure in the host's seat. Please welcome Deborah Roberts.
Summer.
I know.
Almost summer.
And look at this, almost summer. Have a seat, beautiful.
I wish the audience at home could hear the party that goes on here.
I know, it's such a party. Wow. The energy. Now, I gotta tell you, because I showed a little thing, but last time you came here for my Halloween episode.
And you scared the heck out of me.
And because I had on that mask, I have to ask you, what were you thinking when you saw me in this mask?
I mean, well, first of all, a ninja woman in high heels. And I had just seen you sitting here in a different costume. So
it was my Rihanna
Exactly.
costume, yeah.
So I'm standing waiting, and this woman approaches me all in black in this mask. I scream. I literally scream.
When we saw each other, it was so funny. I loved it. I said, oh, it's working. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, this month, congratulations. It is 30 years since you've been at ABC News.
Oh, my God.
But, Deborah, look at you.
How is that possible?
Like, can you believe it's been that long?
Well, I was 17, you know, when I started. I was a prodigy. I was always been ahead of my time. No, I look at that photo and wow, that's history. That's history, you know, Barbara Walters, Hugh Downs, Lynn Sherri, all the colleagues there. And for me to join that crowd, wow. Can you imagine how I was shaking during this photo?
And it's so funny because you look poised and confident.
And look at that hair.
And look at the hair. When I tell you have had a lot of hair changes.
I've had a lot of hairdos over the years.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, you know, we had that anchor hairdo.
The anchor hairdo.
Back in the day, oh, my goodness.
Look at all
I mean, the one up in the corner, Sherri, if I had fallen over, I might have, like, broken my neck.
Because it wasn't
that hair.
much.
Helmet hair.
I love it.
Helmet hair.
I love your hair. It did. It was like anchor woman hair.
We went through a few iterations, but that's okay. We made it through.
Oh my gosh.
We made it through.
You made it through, and I don't want to say this, you made it through your marriage, but I want to celebrate it. That's not how I want to segue at all.
Sometimes it feels like we made it through.
Well, in the making it through, it'll be your 30th wedding anniversary to Al Roker.
I know. And you know, the reason I always remember how long I've been married is I started at 2020 in May and got married in September, so 30 years for both of them.
30
That's the
years.
only way I remember how long I've been married.
Now, Deborah, I have to ask you this because I worked with Barbara Walters for 7, 8 years, and I know how hard she can be. How did you plan a wedding and at a new job with Barbara Walters as your boss? At the same time.
I almost had a nervous breakdown on a regular basis. Well, I started in May, and I'm so excited for this job.
Yeah.
Of course, it was the pinnacle, right? And I had always dreamed of that, so I get there, and it's great, but I've got to be available and ready and to jump on a plane. I mean, Barbara Walters expects that. And meanwhile, I'm trying to, like, work on bridesmaids' dresses and the lace for my gown, and my parents are down in Georgia and flying them up to New York. They'd never been to New York before. So I was petrified on a regular basis. I thought I would have a nervous breakdown, but I made it.
And how were your parents with Barbara Walters?
Okay, I will never forget. My parents have both passed on, but my parents, small, you know, they're like little country mice, and they come up to New York, and my dad, and Barbara was so sweet to come to the wedding, and my dad said, "Is this the Barbara Walters? Is this the Barbara Walters?" I was like, Dad, please just calm down, please. And she could not have been more gracious and just spent time with my family. And, you know, Barbara's she wasn't necessarily known as warm and fuzzy.
Right,
But she spent that time with my family, and it meant so much to me.
Oh,
and
Deborah.
I think she knew that it would mean a lot.
When I tell you, Barbara, because I was getting married on The View, and Barbara came and she said, "I'm throwing your bridal shower." And I said, "Well, I had to." She said, "I'm throwing your bridal shower." I didn't let my family come. I said, "Y'all not gonna make me lose my job. No, none of y'all coming." But, you know, so you have your family. Barbara's there. Did she give you any advice on you know, when you started family?
Well, she didn't give advice at that moment, you know, of course, around the wedding. She was great. But I do remember when I was pregnant. And Barbara, was the, glass ceiling breaker. This was a woman who was working till all hours of the night, constantly criticizing her producers for the, not giving her enough research and so forth. She was very tough. So when I went to Barbara and I said, I just want to let you know that I'm pregnant, but I'm very devoted. I'm coming back to work. And she sat me down, and this was a warm side of Barbara that people didn't often see. And she said, Deborah, that is so great, and you should take the time you need. Focus some on your personal life, because I didn't really do that. And I probably should have. And I will never forget that. She shared that little moment with me to say, but as soon as I came back, she's like, back to work.
Back to work. She helped me get Jeffrey off of his binky. She told me, she said, you have to ignore him, dear, no matter what. And so it broke my heart when he said, Mommy, binky, please, Mommy. And I said, Barbara, he's not giving in. And she goes, either he gets you or you get him. So
she was tough.
It only took 3 days, and he was off the binky, and he wasn't sleeping in my bed anymore.
She was good.
She was good. Barbara knew what she was talking about.
We were both lucky to have known her.
Yes, we were.
Right?
I do miss her. I really do. Yeah. Now, I'm going back to this because I love marriage. I love marriage. Now, mine didn't work, so you are my, inspiration and my shero. So I know you don't give advice, but gosh, 30 years of marriage is so incredible, Deborah. And also, you and Al Roker are in the same industry. How hard is that?
Typically it is not a big deal because Al is in the weather area and I do interviews and big news stories. But there was one time when Whitney Houston passed away.
Okay.
And we were all scrambling for interviews of people who had known her and who had been, she had been influential in her life. And Aretha Franklin had agreed to do an interview with me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. This is such a big moment for me. And Aretha was very mercurial. I don't know if you remember that or not, but Aretha would change her mind at the drop of a hat. So somehow, a day or two later, Aretha wasn't returning my calls. Now, Aretha had interviewed, Al had interviewed Aretha before, and she really liked him. Aretha likes men, or liked men. So Aretha somehow decided, I want to talk to Al Roker about this. So next thing I knew, Al, who had not even requested the interview, said, I'm doing an interview with Aretha Franklin. I said, are you kidding me? And he said, well, they presented it. I said, well, you better say no. You better say no. And the kids are like, Daddy, why are you ruining Mommy's career? Why are you doing that? And Al said, why are you letting the kids hear us argue about this? But to his credit, when Al met with Aretha, because I was so upset, he said, can we split this? How about you sit with me for 10 minutes and Deborah can come, you can do that with her for 10 minutes. I didn't know he did that. I was furious with him, but he actually tried. I went on to interview BB Winans, had a great interview. It was a great story. We did well, but that was a real test of the marriage. A real test of the marriage.
Gosh.
That was the only time we had been sort of pitted against each other somehow. But other than that, we try to keep it.
Well, they say in a marriage when you're supposed to forgive and you're supposed to forget. Do you ever bring that up about the?
He brings it up.
He brings it up.
He brings it up. He said, "You were really angry. You were really angry." I said, "Yes, I was angry. Of course. I'm the real journalist here. What are you doing? You just sort of got this by default." Anyway, he still brings it up from time to time, but mostly I think we've tried to forget it.
Okay, I got it. I love it because you're just when you talk about your family, your eyes just light up. And you're a family person, and you have a book which is really celebrating family, your sisters. Can you tell us about this?
Oh my gosh, well, Sherri, I grew up 7 girls and 2 boys in my family. I had 6 sisters. So I know a little bit about sisters. And when I had written a previous book about teachers, and these are my sisters here. And big family. And I just started thinking about writing something else, and I thought the sister connection. Isn't there something about sisters? Whether you get along, whether you've had falling out. Yeah, I see people nodding here. There is something about that sister bond. And there's even science now that says those who have sisters have a boost in their mental health. There is something about sisters. Now, they can make you crazy. And there are sisters who have had to fight to keep that connection going. But I have interviewed a number of women about their sisters, and I'm so excited about this book. I think it will inspire, it will entertain. And I think maybe be instructional. I love talking about sisters.
Is this book a fictional book, or is it just...
No, it's a collection of essays from
Oh.
different people talking about their sisters and what they have meant to them over the years. Your sister has your back. My sister is my favorite person. My sister is the one who's there no matter what.
Yes.
All kinds of great stories. Shonda Rhimes, Viola Davis, lots of other folks. Do you have a sister?
I do have a sister.
Well, maybe we should talk. Maybe we can get you in at the very end here.
And put you in at the very end?
Put you in at the very end.
I think my sister might be a little mad at me today, but I think we can get it in there. What do your sisters mean to you?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, they're all so different too, and we have different age ranges.
Yeah.
So, but they just mean so much. I've had sisters who have gone through cancer battles, and you know, one sister lost her husband, but at the end of the day, we just come back. They give me sustenance, and we all go back to when we were children. When we're together, it is a reunion of our childhood souls.
Oh man, I love it. I love that. I want to get the book.
You have to. You have to. You can pre-order.
Okay, so we can pre-order.
Pre-order it. It will be available in the fall.
Deborah Roberts, thank you for stopping by. Always love it.
Always a pleasure.
Oh my goodness. Sisters Loved and Treasured is available, like Deborah said, for pre-order right now. And 2020, that's my show right there, airs Fridays on ABC, and it streams the next day on Hulu.
We're gonna have a good time.